About 2 weeks ago, on my 65th birthday, I must say, happy birthday, Randy. I thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to open up to all of you who have supported us so much over the years. A chance for us to show some support back to you. This meeting is an information meeting. You may not get a lot of answers to your questions, but you will have questions. We want to hear questions. But this is an information meeting, and we're going to try to do this in 2 hours and get everybody be done with this at 11 o'clock. Let's keep the back and forth down as much as possible. If a question is asked and a question is answered, let's please consider it so. And I'm always available. Friends of Jawbone is available. We're always able to converse with you further in person or through email or on the telephone if you have other questions. The second thing is, I don't think this is going to be a problem. I'm going to moderate the best that I can. And so please help me to moderate and keep the temperature down. Of course, you think with all the snow in the hills, the temperatures would be cool enough. But let's keep cool prevailing for the rest of the day. And let's do the best that we can to learn. There isn't a lot that we know, because there's still a good deal of time for answers to be given. And I'll get into that later. But I want to welcome again our regular stakeholder committee members. And I want to welcome members of the off-road leadership that are here. I'm going to read some names a little bit later in the agenda. I'm very, very touched, and I'm infinitely grateful to the broader OHV community, the OHV leadership at the state and the national level, for being here at our side to help us through the next phase of the West Mojave planning. So today's agenda, this is the welcome. I'm going to do a little presentation that'll show some maps. I'm going to take some comments from our regular stakeholder committee members. This is the stakeholder committee meeting. I'd like to give OHV leadership a chance to have a few words to introduce themselves to you. And lastly, we'll take the rest of the time with question and answers and conversation. But I do hope that we can cover the important things today in the agenda and adjourn by 11 o'clock today. We'll go a little over, don't worry, I've had a good breakfast. I missed half of the earlier meeting today because I made sure to have a good breakfast. So if I can, let's take a minute and move into the PowerPoint presentation, the first slide, and show you where we are and what we're doing here. So this is about what's called WEMO, West Mojave. And this WEMO plan, part of the WEMO planning is what's called route designation. That's when the land manager goes through a process to determine which routes are available for motorized use and which routes are not. That's what route designation is.
Is it possible to go full screen on the...
Is it on the, is this the iPad?
Yeah.
Can you see if you can do a little maybe even the brightness? You can kick the brightness up a tad. Thank you. Now, the WEMO plan covered a lot of things. It covered a lot of issues in the West Mojave. The only one that's really still lagging and that is still not final are the route designations. This is what I've heard called a chronic planning problem. Because some of you may be new to the words WEMO. Some of you, though, remember WEMO going back to the late 90s. And I'll bet there are some of you here that would argue with me that it goes back even before that. And I'll give you that. My time of involvement was about the late 90s. Next screen. I'm going to make this PowerPoint available online, by the way, for you all to download. Because some of this is a little bit fine print that you probably can't see from the back. And some of it is a little detailed, but you'll be able to get this. Let me just zoom a little bit into this map here. So, WEMO was one of 4 major route designation efforts in the California desert back in around 2000, early 2000s into 2006-ish. There was WEMO, which is West Mojave. There was NEMO, which is northern and eastern Mojave. There's NECO, which is northern and eastern Colorado desert. And there's WECO, the western Colorado desert. These are the 4 plans, the 4 planning efforts that included route designation. WEMO is the only one that was successfully challenged in court. I was going to say it was the only one that was challenged in court, but I'm not 100% sure of this. And I'm saying this because I'm not going to say, if I'm not 100% sure of something today, I'm going to tell you that. So there may have been a lawsuit in the other plans, but it didn't go anywhere. Those plans have been in effect since around 2004, 2005, 2006. WECO, NECO down south, NEMO up north. WEMO is the only one that is still in play. Next slide.
Is that due to the desert tortoise, Randy?
I'll get to that in a minute. We're almost there. So, this, where we are today, is the second time we've been here. Not physically here, but at least in the process of route designation, is the second time we've stood on this timeline. The first time, the West Mojave Plan and the routes in the West Mojave Plan were challenged in court. The plaintiffs won, and the BLM was ordered to do it again, to do it a second time. At that time, the plaintiffs asked the judge, as the remedy, to confine non-street legal vehicles to the OHV areas only. The judge, the same judge that ruled just last month, same judge has been on this all this time. The judge looked at that and said, no, that is too much of an ask for a remedy. They simply said, let's let the BLM implement what they said they were going to implement, do their regular reporting, do all of everything they said they would do, while they go back to the drawing board to do the route designation for the second time. It took a very long time to do that route designation, that second time. The second route designation came out in 2019. Now let me just step back. The first route designation had about 5,100 miles of trails, 5,098. 5,100 miles of designated OHV, or I should say vehicle routes. The second WEMO that came out in 2019 had 6,000 miles of routes. But they didn't go, the BLM did not go and add 1,000 miles of recreational routes to make it 6,000. They folded a lot of those extra 900 miles. They folded in existing easements, limited use roads that were authorized under permits, Things like power line roads and water line roads and gas line roads and mining roads that are exclusive use for miners. Things like that, all those routes, rights of way were folded into WEMO because we're doing travel management. They said, let's fold it all in together. So that's why the first WEMO was 5,100 miles. The second WEMO was close to 6,000 miles. And most of that was just folding everything in. There was a couple of hundred extra miles of trails. There were. It did get a couple of hundred extra miles of trails. But the same plaintiffs took exception to those designations and sued in federal court and said, BLM, you didn't do it right again. It took a long time for the court to rule, and the court ruled in 2024, October of 2024. The court ruled in favor of the plaintiffs yet again. They said, BLM, you did not do it according to the way we said had you do it. Therefore, this plan is invalidated. And that put the lawsuit back into what they call the remedy phase. What's the court going to order? The court said, yes, the route plan's invalidated, but what are we going to do about it? And that's what came down just last month. The what are we going to do about it? Understand that this what are we going to do about it, this remedy order, is quite honestly kind of the last chapter in the second book of WEMO. There's not a whole lot of option for going backwards at this point. Maybe no option for going backwards. There's only an order and a demand and a process to go forward. Okay? So this second book, this chapter, this book is closed. We're starting a third book. Here's where I get geeky. It took 3 books for Frodo to destroy the ring. Maybe it'll be 3 books for the BLM to designate routes successfully in WEMO. They have to go back and do it again. Next slide. On the side is the timeline. You'll be able to download all the little bits and pieces that happen. I'm not going to go through every little step of the process.
Still under Judge Ellison?
Ilston. This is a cut and paste directly from the court order. I added the underlines and I added the bold. What the court ordered is clear as mud. BLM is ordered to close all OHV routes in Desert Tortoise and the Lane Mountain Milk Vetch, designated critical habitat. Let's just stop there for 1 second. Don't worry about the Lane Mountain Milk Vetch habitat. It's very, very tiny, it's very, very small, and the tortoise habitat, the critical habitat, is slathered on top of it. So it's redundant. So don't worry about it. I'm not even going to talk about Lane Mountain Milk Vetch for the rest of the day. But I just want you to understand that what's on the screen is a cut and paste from the order. Okay? I'm not manipulating this much. And then there's what's called designated critical habitat. That's a thing. It's a shape on a map. It's a boundary. The geeks call it a polygon. It's a real thing. It's not just, oh, this habitat looks critical. This habitat doesn't look critical. It is an official, formal designation by the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. And so what this is saying is inside this designated critical tortoise habitat, and I'm going to show you the polygon in a minute, you have to close the OHV routes. And clearly mark such routes as closed with appropriate signing and fencing as needed. Now here's where it gets muddy. BLM shall keep open designated county roads and highways, as well as any and all routes needed to provide access for established easements, administrative access, emergency access, and other permitted uses. So you can see, if you were the person who was responsible for executing a court order. You gotta figure this out. Next slide. This is a second cut and paste. This is an important deadline. The BLM has until October 14, 2029. That's 5 years from the October 2024 date when the court said, BLM, you failed in your second WEMO attempt. They have 5 years to redo WEMO. An extension is not out of the question. There were extensions before. It could happen again. Maybe it won't. We don't know. But this is the order. This is what they're looking at, is to complete a new route network decision by this time. Next slide. By the way, thanks for Justin Melkor for helping us out as our tech today. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of tech behind this, so thanks. You know, tech guys like to burn the midnight oil. They're kind of night owls, so meet me down at the office at 6:30 this morning is yeoman's effort. I appreciate it. So what we got here is, I just want to show you this. This is what's called, the blue is what's called designated desert tortoise critical habitat. You see, if you look up into the northeast, it goes all the way up into Mesquite area of Nevada. You see also coming down a little bit more to the south of that, you've got the Vegas, Clark County area in Nevada. That's designated tortoise habitat. Sorry, this is moving around a little bit, doing the best we can. You can see also down here in the south, down toward Imperial Valley, there's some designated critical habitat. The stuff that's in the black outline is the desert tortoise critical habitat that is in WEMO. And that's all we're talking about today. Those are the only units we're talking about today. Those blue shapes are the shapes for which the BLM will need to execute the closure order. Let's get a little closer. Go ahead.
Where are we on that map, Randy?
Next slide will show you exactly where we are. Is this the one? Here we go. Oh. This is our neck of the woods. There's a little unit down by Joshua Tree, and I'll show you that one when I get to the real maps, the route maps. But this is just showing you that what we've got here is the donut hole of Randsburg, which is in the Rand Mountains. I'm starting in the west. Goes down along Highway 395. Sorry, this is jumping around on me. I should probably not zoom it much. Stay. Down 395, all the way to the El Mirage OHV open area, Edwards Bowl. Red Mountain going over north of Highway 58, Superior Valley, Copper Mountain Road area, and then continuing up the north side of the 15 freeway, across Coyote Lake, Mineola Road area, going up, again, north of the 15, almost to kind of about the Afton Canyon exit. And then down in this unit here, this is the Ord Mountains, the Newberry, and the Rodman Mountains. That's the desert tortoise, the designated desert tortoise critical habitat. Let's show a map with some routes on it now. All right, I'm going to zoom in just a little. I really don't want to mess this up too badly. I'm going to zoom into another close-up after this, but I just want you to see this is the extent. The shapes that I'm depicting on this map for desert tortoise critical habitat have been vetted, and I've been assured that I have those shapes correct. The green lines, and there's some other color lines on there, but the OHV routes that represented by the green lines, those come from our universe of map making that we do. We do our Jawbone map, many of you have seen, but we have become the repository of OHV route data practically for everything throughout the state. Now, just remember, in America, 90% is still an A. So I'm not going to say that this is 100% every route, everything, all the way. But it is the best we have, the best that can be done. Number two, much to the chagrin and frankly, understandable, much to the chagrin of private property owners, we're depicting the lines going across private property as well. We're not the BLM, we're not the government agency, we're not taking anyone's property. Google Maps shows all the lines across anybody's property. Apple Maps, all of your mapping services show these same lines on their maps. We all know that if you go on a trail and it hits private property and somebody's got a no trespassing sign up and a gate or whatever, that's entirely their right. And that's just the way it goes. I don't want anyone telling me what to do with my 2.5 acres, but they do. And they have a right to do what they want to do with their acres. I get it. They don't want OHV on their property, they don't have to suffer it. On the other hand, you see that very, very little out there. And you know, if you spend a lot of time, a lot of this territory is checkerboard. Public, private, public, private, public, private. But you never see any of it. You just keep driving along thinking, wow, this is just great. Look at all this lovely public lands. Well, maybe not all of it is public lands. But we show the route as it is because we want to encourage everyone to stay on the designated trail. And if it crosses somebody's property, pick it up on the other side. Stay right on there. Don't start zooming around somebody's private property and doing donuts. But we do depict it. So these green lines do not just represent the BLM stretches. This represents the extent of this network as we see it and as we map it. You've heard a number thrown around, 2,200 miles of potential closures. I have not vetted that. That number comes from the victory press releases of the plaintiffs. That's their claims. I just don't have the time and the resources at this minute to do a big GIS project to figure out just exactly how many miles of BLM only routes are going to be closed. We will at some point, we'll digest this better, but I want to get you this information as soon as I can. So if there are on this map, 2,200 miles of BLM routes that could be subject to closure, multiply that by an unknown factor, because these routes as we depict them include private property. It could be 3,000 miles. It could be 3,200. I don't know. I'm just throwing these numbers out. So I just want you to understand what you're seeing here. Let's go one more slide. Let's get in and show them the second unit of desert tortoise habitat that's in the West Mojave Plan. This little teeny piece down here, down by 29 Palms, happens to be in WEMO and happens to be desert tortoise critical habitat. So therefore, this is a potential closure area. It's kind of an important area. You guys, if there's any rock hounds in the room, that's Dale. That's the Dale Mining District, which people love to go out there. So that would be impacted. Next slide. Let's get into a little bit closer here to our neck of the woods. There are no OHV recreation areas, OHV open areas. There are none of them in this desert tortoise critical habitat, with one exception, and I'll get to that in a second. But in general, your Dove Springs is still open, your Jawbone's still open, your Spangler's still open, your Stoddard is open, your Johnson is open, your Razor is open. The OHV designated areas, those are outside of this whole plan because they're not WeMo routes.
Let me interrupt you. Johnson Valley, at the very bottom here, right next to Stoddard Wells, is highlighted pink. Am I incorrect?
Let me get back on that. Let me get back on
What you
that.
should do probably is zoom into each critical area, start with Brandsburg.
Let me get back on that. Don't throw me off, please. I'm having a hard time keeping up with myself, but I'm not going to forget that question. The 2019 WeMo that was recently invalidated would have added open riding at Cutterback Lake. But because that is part of the 2019 route designation, that's off the table at this point. That is inside that desert tortoise critical habitat. And you can also see the route network of the Jawbone, the Rand Mountains. Those are still intact. But you still have your donut hole.
The
In
city
Ranch
dies,
Park.
we probably dies if this goes into effect.
So, one more slide. The BLM is figuring this out. They've got until March 24th to do anything. If I were given 60 days to implement something like this, you can bet I would take all 60 days to figure this out. I don't submit my grant applications early because I take every day that I possibly can right up to the deadline to make my grant stronger and better. So if the BLM is holding cards to their chest, it's very understandable because they've still got time to figure this out. We all have questions. I've asked questions. We're not going to get a ton of answers today because I believe it's better to get the right answers, the correct answers, and the vetted answers when those are available, rather than getting a whole lot of guessing. I'm going to do some guessing today, a little bit of guessing, and I'll tell you that these are guesses. But I don't think it's helpful to really guess too much here. This is an early time in this process. The BLM has still got time to figure this out. Most of this desert tortoise critical habitat is in the Barstow field office, about 85% of it. Only about 15% of it is in our local Ridgecrest field office, and that would be your Rand Mountains and your Red Mountain. One of the side effects, and this is more toward our stakeholders that come to our meetings regularly, who work with us as we go through our grant projects. Understand that we, Friends of Jawbone, cannot spend any of our ground operations project grant money in this closure area now. We've been asked, cease. It's all right, for now. We still have the El Pasos, Jawbone, Southern Sierras, Ridgecrest area. There's areas that we can work, Middle Knob. But over in that Rand Mountain and a little bit of Red Mountain, we've been told don't spend any of that money there yet. Because in their minds, and understandable, those routes have been invalidated. Where you should not be spending money to facilitate the recreational activity there if those routes have been invalidated. I bring this up only to show you one tangential thing on the outside that's being affected by this. And there's another one, and another outside, and another. There's going to be impacts and effects that I can't even imagine at this time. But there will be a lot of other impacts and effects once this is fully digested and everybody thinks about this. But for us, this is one that I didn't even think about. But I got a call from the state the first business day after the ruling, asking us not to spend ground operations money in those potential closure areas. So that's the last slide, I think. We can go back to the agenda. And now here's where I'm going to do a little guessing. This is pure conjecture, and it's based on fortunate conversations that I've had around a poker table, let's say. I do not believe that Randsburg is going to be completely shut off. There's just too darn much private property there, mining claims and other access needs to Randsburg. I do not see that being shut off. Do I see access being limited? Yeah. But it is not going to be shut off. I can also guess that there are other things that other partners could potentially maybe do. It may be possible, sorry Karen, to put Kern County on a little spot, but state law allows the designation of combined use roads up to 3 miles in length without having to go through legislation. There's still a process, it still takes time, still needs approvals, but theoretically, Kern County, maybe there are some rights of way that Kern County could make into combined use to help this situation out. A second thing, another observation. These closures are only temporary. I'm not trying to soften the blow, okay? I'm not trying to blow smoke here, but I just need to lay this out so you really see this. Those closures that we're talking about are temporary only until the BLM finishes its route designation this third time that it's been asked to do. Now, will they come back and redesignate the exact same routes? We don't know that. It's a process. It's a public process. There's going to be NEPA. Sorry to use these acronyms, but there's going to be public meetings, draft environmental documents, final environmental documents, a record of decision. There's going to be that same long process that the BLM will have to go through in doing this WEMO again. But these closures are only temporary, are only in effect until they do a new WEMO. Number 3. This is 2,200 miles out of a 6,000 mile plan.
You know how many square miles that is?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. You go from Copper State
Now-
Road to Randsburg, it's 88 miles each way.
Hang on.
So,
So,
why is it? It's over 5,000
excuse me,
square miles.
please, thank you, please, just a moment. Let me finish. The routes that are, the routes that are not among the 2,200 miles, those routes that are outside those closure area, those are pretty much, in my opinion, this is my little bit of a guess, but it's not uneducated, those routes may be good to go. Those are good to go. It's sort of like a punch list when you have a contract to do work for you. You say, you need to fix these 15 things. You know the look they give you when they get down to the last 2 and you say, oh, here's 10 more. You don't get to do that. So, these 2,200 miles that are in the closure area are going to be the key focus, the big focus of the BLM's plan. Not to say that there couldn't be some other changes and adjustments, but I'm just saying those routes that are outside of that closure area may very well be good to go. So, a third thing I just want to point out. The judge clearly says that these roads are closed to OHV recreation. Doesn't necessarily say that it's closed for getting to point A to point B to access gas station, food, supplies, points of necessity. I don't know how that's going to fly, but I'm just saying this is as clear as mud. And lastly, I'm going to also take an educated guess that this is not going to be, the BLM is not going to fill citation books over this. The BLM is going to, I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe the approach you're going to see in the field is going to be education oriented. You're on the wrong trail at the wrong time. going forward here, I expect there's going to be courtesy and leeway afforded you in an educational way. Now, those people who have mining claims, private property, easements, those things, I would suggest that you bring those forward on your table and hang on to those and bring those up when needed. You should retain access to your property and to your permitted uses. So, I have now taken up a full 30 minutes. I apologize if the people on Zoom are having a tough time. It looks like we reached our 100 seat maximum on Zoom today. So we probably have over 200 people who have responded to this meeting. So that said, we really need to be judicious with this last 90 minutes of the meeting. And my utmost thanks to all of you for bearing through my presentation today. Next thing I just want to do is offer the floor to any of our stakeholder committee members first. If there's some brief comments that they would like to say or any words of support, I just want to have that chance to first open that floor to them. Is there anyone from our roundtable, from our steering committee, that wants to have a minute or two on the floor? And I would ask that today, if you're granted a bite at the apple, eat the whole apple. You may not get a second bite. There's a lot of us here. Okay. I'm going to now open the floor. Open the floor. I'd like some of our friends from OHV leadership. I want to first recognize Dave Kuski. He's talking. He's doing a little back talking. I want to thank Dave especially because I don't operate around Congress, Washington, D.C., and rulemaking and all that at this time. I'm pretty much on the ground like water. I'm just trying to find a path through right now. It's the OHV leadership of these organizations that work on a different level and know how to change rules and regulations and pass legislation. And Dave has helped gather those people together. I wasn't able to. I'm wrapped up in our grant writing season right now that ends at the end of the month. And I really thank Dave for taking the lead on this and calling together all of the different members of the Calvary to help. I want to thank Cal 4-Wheel Drive for being there for us. I want to thank Corva for being there. The Motorcycle Industry Council, Blue Ribbon Coalition, American Sand Association, all of these groups are going to run with this, and they're going to run to Washington with this and see what can be done for us. And I am very grateful. And I would just say that one takeaway in leaving this room is that if there's something more that you want to do, if there's something more that you can do, please support these organizations in what they're doing, because they're going to need resources, human resources, financial resources. They're going to need a lot of help to be able to make this a better situation for all of us here. So please consider this. Join your statewide or national organization. They're going to be working for you today. Obviously, Friends of Jawbone could also use a little help from time to time. Each year, we're on the hook for over $250,000 in match for our grants. And it's, I'm sorry?
You lost audio.
Yeah.
It sounds like your mic is muted, so.
And so, how do we cough up $250,000 every year? I have no idea, but we've been doing it. We really could use any help that you want to provide for us as well. So, thanks, Justin. Are there any of the folks from the organizations, OHV organizations, that want to introduce themselves, say hello to us briefly?
I want to get us
Please.
up and hey, it's great to see everybody up here. I know I'm mostly known as a sand guy, but this is my happy place is riding up here. I've been riding up here for years. Neil knows how much I roll up to that bar, and he just knows what I'm drinking when I roll up. So I'm Dave Kuski with American Sand Association, and we're reaching all the way up to DOJ, DOI, Department, all the top agencies. We got connections to reach out to those. That's what we all work together as a collaborative group. So they're not just fighting out here, we're fighting on legislation and a lot of other things for your benefit. So, go ahead.
I'm Misty Sanders with Corba. I'm the VP.
Shay Sanders, VP Marketing and Sales and Fundraising, trying to fund all this stuff.
I'm Ben Burr, I'm the Executive Director of Blue Ribbon Corp.
Ned Starkson, California South District Membership.
I'm Dirk Starkson. I'm the State Treasurer for California Four-Wheel Drive Association. Live in Lancaster. We just had our annual convention, by the way, and revealed the next year's raffle vehicle, and it's out in the parking lot.
I'm Russ Chung. I'm South District Vice President for California Four-Wheel Drive Association, and I do have a stack of raffle tickets.
This is really important. In the previous years, you wouldn't see us all together working together. For whatever reason, it's been against each other, and we're this much stronger working together, not just within the organization, but with the fellow operators. It's not even operators, hunters, hikers. Everybody accesses everybody accesses these trails. It's not just off-roaders, and that's what Corba does. We're not just off-road, we're everything. Everyone that accesses these off-road trails. And I'm blessed to be part of it and have everybody here advocating together, working together, because that's what they don't want. They don't want us that much stronger, and we're gonna come in, and we're gonna come in hard. We're not gonna let down, and we're not gonna let you guys down.
And just to let you know, we have a lot of other people that are online too. Ecologic, which is our law group that we back, that's fought out here and fought all over the place. I've got SEMA on the Zoom call also, so we have a lot of very powerful partners that we're gonna use to fight this, okay? Just to let you know, dear to my heart, I'm up here all the time. I love this place, and like everyone else here, we are gonna fight with every opportunity and connection that we've got to keep this open.
We all have resources. We all have land managers. Rose Wynn, you got Ted Cabral, you got Josh Epstein, who's a great president, another 2 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Blue Ribbon being here, Ben showing up, he drove all the way down to join us. Blue Ribbon Coalition, BRC, is a powerhouse in the off-road community, so they're here supporting our efforts here, and they're gonna help us out too.
So Dave, I want to talk about these two things.
Okay.
So the first one is, there was a Senate hearing last week for the Outdoor Americans with Disabilities Act. That's a bill we worked with some of Ridley's office introduced 2 years ago. It's moving through the Senate. That bill would require the BLM to maintain a base level of route density in any travel area. And if that were to pass, that would fix this overnight. It's already going through the Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee. So if you haven't supported that yet, that's one of the legislative solutions. I'm working on other ones that we should talk about. But that would fix this immediately, and it's already close.
So, yeah, RS 2477, that with the designated trails. BRC on their site, they sell books that talk about trails. Getting trails mapped is very important. That is an avenue for us to use to show a designated trail when we go to fight these things. So between Onyx and all the other programs that are out there, I work with Polaris a lot, so all their trails, all their vehicles upload to the cloud. So any trail that's mapped, designated, all that, that is tools that we can use.
Yeah, we're looking at legal options on this still, and we can talk to you David about that. And there will be other things, so if you filled out our petition online, we know who you are, and we'll be following up with you. But when we ask you to do stuff, we need your help to do it, because we'll be coordinating with all these groups to do it. But there's a lot we can do. I don't think we're powerless in this situation. I think it's a tough situation. I agree with what everyone said up here. We're going to do everything we can to push back on this.
Well, it's teamwork makes dream work. And it takes all of us in this room. We're all volunteers in the day. I don't get paid for what I do. I advocate just like you guys do. And we're outdoor lovers. We ride motorcycles, rock hounds, to miners, landowners. So we all got to fight this together.
And we all have our own expertises and connections across the industry and even up in Ben and their groups in DC all the time. So they're working directly with Congress and senators and things like that. On the ground, we have different specialties that we work on. And we are collaborating together to fight for this. And don't want to leave Randy out.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
How do we get a list of all the organizations?
We're going to make a note, and we're going to make sure to cover that. Thank you, good point. Now, I see a lot of, Nancy, I see a lot of friends. I see a lot of very familiar faces. You may not detect it, but I am a little panicked today and trying my best. But I would be remiss to not say hello to Sam Merck of the Ridgecrest Roundtable. I miss you. We've worked together for so many years. Hans Haas and I worked together on the Desert Advisory Council, former chairman. Jerry counts. He comes back like a ghost when you most need him. Good to see you. Good to see Jack, and it's good to see Shane, and it's good to see all of you here, some of the very familiar faces. I'm sorry I can't recognize all of you, point you all out. It's getting to be a little blur in the back. But I want to just point out thank you for my friends. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a Q&A, and what I'm going to do is, first of all, you're number two. Number one is the gentleman who's been patient at the table who asked about Johnson Valley. Can somebody give you, I didn't catch your name, your first name?
Ted Williams.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Okay, so I appreciate you guys all get together. It's very important as all the associations get together, teaming up to fight this. But I've been in this area for 15 years. I run an off-road group on Facebook, Lean Right, got all these files everywhere. And this would effectively shut down significant businesses. Everything from Johnson Valley up through Calico. If you go to Calico now, you can't ride into the Black Mountain Wilderness or the cabins and memorials and all the crash sites that are over there. State line rights, I'm not sure how far the line went down, but a lot of people go to state line and bring business to state line to the Nevada side of it over the years. But there's a lot that's in Cal City, and if you leave Cal City just by itself, there's hundreds of thousands of people come out here at Thanksgiving. They camp in Cal City alone. They don't go there for Cal City. They go there to go ride Ridgecrest, to go to Toronto Pentecost, to go to Ballarat, to go to Spangler Hills, to go up to Lone Pine. It all connects if you know where it goes. Yeah, Toronto area. So then you got Randsburg. Everybody goes from Dove Springs over to Randsburg for lunch. Drink, joint, see Brad, etc. This is going to have a huge business impact, jobs, businesses throughout the area. But for Southern California, like I said earlier, I've ridden this, I do long range rides all the time, 180-mile rides, 200-mile rides. We go to Calico, Copper City, all the way to Randsburg and back, up past the mountains, all to MacGyver's cabin, back down. And I can tell you, there'll be no interest to even visit this remote area anymore. It'll just die off. Everything you see in Mojave, those small towns that you see, it'll be in the depth. And the community itself, to talk up the fact that you've got Dove Springs left or right in, or where you're at, is a joke. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That is not a riding area. You may be proud of it, but it is, in my opinion, in terms of our technical ability and high-speed stuff that we do, it's a great entry level. It's got some great hills and stuff. A lot of bikes enjoy it, but riding on a power line road on a designated route is about as what I would say as bad as you can get. Okay, you got to get on trails. And have some rock, have some trail riding, see the scenery. We're losing out on Black Mountain Wilderness. All the trails that go through there, the historical sites, the colors change, no different than we have out here Dove Springs and Jawbone, you have a lot of colors and stuff like that. All that goes away. So it's not 2,200 miles. Like I said, I can tell you from Hinckley up through Black Mountain Wilderness to the border of the base is at least 25, 30 miles. Now you take 88 miles from Copper Cedar Road all the way to Randsburg, that's easily 4,000 to 6,000 square miles right there alone. Everything you're showing is probably 30 to 50,000 square miles of riding. It's not just 2,200 miles. It is an entire area that goes away. And to say Spangler Hills isn't available still or anywhere else, those are small little areas. You know, back to your point earlier about how one of the groups was saying there's a Disabilities Act that's going through the Senate about a ratio from vehicle to area. That was on my mind this morning. No different than having cattle or horses. BLM has a certain range that says you gotta have so many land to go a house or a cow or a horse, right? Well, guess what? If you get these small areas that are popular and you throw in 100, 200 vehicles into a small 50 square mile area, that's dangerous as all get out. You got head-on collisions going on. You got people being stupid. People don't want that. People want to go to areas that are remote to avoid what you see at King of the Hammers, to avoid what you see at Cal City, to avoid what happens at Dove Springs, head-on collisions on the Hardline roads. Having the ability to connect from remote areas through all of what you showed is what riding is about. And it going down to Johnson Valley, east of where Slash X is at, and just east of Starved Wells, that's a huge area. They'll kill Slash X.
Very good. Couldn't have said it better. I appreciate that very much. You mentioned something earlier about the polygon of the desert tortoise critical habitat touching a piece of Johnson Valley. Thanks for bringing that up and putting a circle around it. I know that that is a expansion area that was designated by Congress in 2019, and I know that the BLM reconciled that piece of legislation with its ACECs and other places. I don't know that Fish and Wildlife has reconciled its desert critical habitat with that 2019 expansion. So that is that's a question mark area on the map that I'm going to look deeper into. Thanks for bringing that up. Are you Danielle? God, I haven't seen you in so long.
No, I've been practicing. Hold on. So I want to start by saying the energy in here is extremely high, but we all are here for the same reason, to keep our lands open. My name is Danielle Schiller. I represent the Indian Wells Gem and Mineral Society at this particular time. But the only thing I have to contribute to this meeting here as a member of the public. I went to use the restroom, which I do quite often, and it's freaking disgusting. There is BM from one side to the other, no toilet paper. I spoke to this lovely lady, Liz. I mentioned it, trying to control us, because you already know who I am and where I've been. And I want to start also not by the toilet, but all of you are not desensitized about this. You're all just learning this. I've been knowing it since I was born in Ridgecrest, California in 1976. My dad came down there at 14, and my mom was born in Trona. So I represent everything you guys are saying right now, but I also have 2 medical careers, and that bathroom would make Ed would not be tolerating that bathroom. So I mentioned it, and they went and fixed it. They gave us toilet paper. But they ignored the shit, all over the toilet. So I left it open so the next person doesn't have to use it. Because I also work in long-term care. And I have a lot of elders. And when they started this in the beginning, they said you couldn't put wheelchairs out there, so we got our horses. He's no longer here to fight. However, I'm a little unsettled, and I'm still focused on that damn bathroom. And so they let me use this one. So the shit is still on the toilet, but there's paper that no one can open. That's the end. Thank you, Randy.
Let me say, when I first came out in this area and started recreating, there were 2 people that took me under their arms. One was, his name was Father Ron, and the other was the man who built this house, Ed Waldheim. And I'm ever grateful, ever grateful for the training that I received from your father, and I miss it very much.
Oh, well, he just keeps talking to me. I'll be like, I can nap, Dad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was also remiss, Gary from Ridgecrest Skier Grinders, great to see you too. I have one, I'm pointing at you, 1, 2, and 3, please, and then 4 and 5. That's as far as I can go. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll start over. Thank you. You have the floor, please.
You mentioned that BLM will have a public comment time. Can you please inform us when that is so we can all comment there?
Yes, but to give you a window of when that might be, it won't be immediate or soon. The BLM has a process that they have to follow in doing the route designations. It starts with a notice to the public that we're doing this project. Then they'll do scoping, they'll do a draft and so forth. So I wouldn't expect that to start. I don't even want to guess the timeline. I can't even guess the timeline. It's based on resources, people, availability, and Washington, D.C. But we certainly will. Thank you. Number 2, please. You have the floor? Yes.
Just a point of interest. I've lived in this area for a lot of years, and the ravens are killing off the tortoises. They see a baby tortoise, they flip it over, they tuck it, and that's their lunch. The ravens are also an endangered species, so we have an endangered species killing an endangered species. And until they handle that, the desert tortoise preservation is useless. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3.
Hi, my name is Steve Walker with Patrick Trail Pictures, and speaking for the group, I think I want to say thank you very much, Randy, for standing up front and taking care of this situation today for us. Everything we've heard, everything on the agenda that you've been talking about is the BLM. Do we have any BLM representatives here today that are going to come up front and tell us what they're doing about this situation?
Yes, we do. I'm saving time at the end for the BLM to have the last word today. So I appreciate that. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
I would not, the BLM is faced with the task, but they're not the ones that did this.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
No, we understand.
Jerry, you're next, and then number 5 was in back. So Jerry, you're 4.
Yeah, when you made the introductions and I discussed this with you, who was involved, I didn't hear MIC.
You did.
Didn't hear AMA.
AMA, Jerry Grabo is online. MIC,
Don
Amador is also online.
Okay.
So MIC.
Ohio was involved in this yet?
No, I don't know that everybody, I'm sorry, I don't know everyone that's been on the Zoom calls that I participated
I was
with.
just pleased with all the motorcyclists.
Motorcyclists.
I hope, give me a hand on motorcycles versus.
There it is.
I thought there was going to be a lot of them, okay? I would agree with you guys. Go to our organizations and complain. Don't argue here why this is a bad idea. We all know it. You're wasting our time.
It's all right.
Go to your organizations and fight it politically.
You know, times like this, sometimes we need a shoulder to cry on. And once we get the anger out, then we can refocus and we can start to move forward on a real plan. So I can welcome those comments. Trust me, I'm a big boy. I'll do my best. Number 5, you have the floor.
My name is Cody Poxis. I live in Ridgecrest. I'm retired Navy. I did 21 years living in Ventura, being stationed in Ridgecrest multiple times. We chose to retire here because it's an off-road community. It's what we lived in Ventura. I got stationed on the other side of the country. We always drove back here to go dirt biking and four-wheeling. I get the impression most everybody in this room is all for pack it in, pack it out, responsible use and all that. But we're the minority of the people that use this desert, right? A lot of people go to these big showrooms because somebody got a toy and now they want one and they come up here and destroy the desert, leave trash, all those other things. With these trail closures, as the gentleman behind me mentioned, one, you can find all these people to a small area and that makes it more dangerous. But now people are just gonna ride in these closed areas regardless, right? That happened 15 years ago when you guys updated the Friends of Jawbone map and a bunch of trails went away. what happened? There were still lots of people, and I'll tell you, I was guilty of it too. I've ridden on closed trails. I bet everybody in this room has, right? How organizations like you and some of the other ones in this room, you really need to focus on how you're going to do some outreach in the interim until BLM and everybody can figure out what the new trail systems are going to be, so that these other people coming up here that are not avid off-roaders, they're the weekend warriors that come out once or twice a year and destroy this place, are not ruining our chances of getting these trails reopened long-term. So I think that's great that you're working with Congress and Senate at state and federal levels, but education to the masses is probably just as important, because otherwise all the work that you're doing is going to go right down the drain with all these other people that are not in this room, didn't take the time to dial in, and don't care about what all of us love about this place.
I don't disagree at all. Thank you.
That was
I agree,
well
Carly.
said.
Before I line up another 5 speakers, are there any merchants from Randsburg here today? I want to make sure all of our hearts are with you. Want to make sure we hear from you adequately today. So make sure you get your hands up when I call. I'm going to call for the next 5. I have number 1 in the back, number 2 in the beautiful black turtleneck, number 3 Sam, and then 4 and 5, and then I'll take another 5. That's the best I can count to today. The back of the room, you, that's right, you in your trench coat, you are. Have the floor, sir.
My name is Dan Status, my wife Arlene, we're from Red Mountain. I agree with the woman about the ravens eating up the baby turtles, because it's seen quite often. So I've been a little laryngitis here. The other thing is that I've actually seen coyotes, well not seen it, but seen the turtles, the shells that were all eaten around the edges from coyotes as well. That's another issue. The reason why I'm here, mentioning what I want to talk about, is that the BLM, I really thank them for what they've done. They've helped us as far as keeping, the track, we call them, we get rid of squatters and trash and all that. But what happens when you start opening up all this other issues where they got to start, monitoring all these people running around and they got to keep all these people off the lands. They're very limited to what they're allowed to do. So that's another concern, because we're limited on finance. The other thing is that I want to encourage the BLM reps, or you yourself maybe, because the BLM actually tried to take the state to court and they lost. So I was reading how there's supposed to be an appeal coming up. So I was wondering, is anybody going to appeal this? And also, from what I understand, there's a new director at the BLM that's, from what I understand, sympathetic to our cause. So has anybody contacted this individual? And that's my question.
I can respond to a piece of that. One of the reasons that there's a 60-day delay in the implementation of this order is to give the agency an opportunity to appeal. And the appeal is would be at the Washington level, and would be in conjunction with the Department of Justice. I know that there are conversations going on, and there is a desire to do so. How far that conversation will lead to, whether or not Justice has the resources, whether or not we are loud enough and clear enough in our outreach to Department of Justice, urging them to appeal, that's what we need to do. And this is where I want to point to Blue Ribbon Coalition and their website. They have a petition to Department of Justice to take on this appeal. And I would ask you all to go there and urge Department of Justice to do the appeal. So that could happen, and we'll see. If there is an appeal, there's no guarantee that there will be a stay. They still might have to do the closures, but as I say, that would be all an appeal, and that's law and order stuff. I'm not a lawyer, and I've never even played one on TV. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Number 2, I'm sorry,
Can I
we'll
ask
go.
that gentleman just a
quick question. The name of the director he was asking, is there a new director?
Joe Stout.
Thank you.
No, that's a state director.
State
Director Joe Stout.
Thank you.
They just recently nominated somebody for a BLM director, but he's not been confirmed, and they've been without a director since the beginning of this president's term.
Sorry to
You
interrupt.
have
Thank
the
you.
floor, please. Number two.
Thank you to the gentleman bringing up the trash issue and everything out in the desert. We, along with Sam, Merck, and we have just now received our 501, and we are in the process of getting a website up. We're based in Ridgecrest. And
Public Matters.
It'll be Public Land Matters, and our goal is to have trash, have people volunteer to go out and clean up the desert. We also want to start educating the younger generation, because believe it or not, your kids have no idea, well, your kids might, but most kids don't know what public lands are, and that they even have a right to them. They don't know, they're not teaching that in schools anymore. So that's another one of our issues that we're just now getting a website up. We'll have Facebook that'll connect to that website. We're just getting started. But if you could look for, some posts that are going to be coming out, we're going to address, and any ideas you all might have. We need volunteers, we need board members. We're just starting. If we're tax exempt, we got our tax exempt status finally, and education is, key. So, yep. I just want to let y'all know that that's what we're doing.
Public Land Matters. That's a great organization name or what? Fantastic. Sam, you have the floor.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a little while. That in 1993, there was a book that was put out by the BLM, and it went through the NEPA process, and it talked about all the routes in the red. It was signed off by the state biologist. It's a good reference for the BLM to take a look at. Unfortunately, the following year, the desert bill went through and WEMA went through. So this was kind of shelved. But this book was signed off by the state director, and it gave a really good map of all the access areas around Ramsburg. Also, another thing too, in El Paso's, the Kappa was acknowledged by the same judge back in 2019, and it's not in the reference now. So these two areas would be insightful to start a legal action, because this was done with NEPA, and they're not following it because they got mandated to do something else. But we can explore this action and also Kappa.
Define Kappa, Sam.
Kappa is a provision in the WEMO proposed plan to provide a collaborative access planning area in the El Paso Mountains, where public would be involved in helping the BLM with the route designations in the El Pasos. Thank you, Sam. I remember that very well. Number 4 and 5, two gentlemen here. I'll have you fight it out. Who's number 4? You're number 4. There you go.
Hi, my name is Brett Pickett. I've been riding out here for about 50 years. I'm heavily involved in side-by-sides and dirt bikes. I'm part of the Badgers MC AMA Club. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I was hoping there would be people out the door. So I'm a little disappointed in that, because I feel we're on by support here. So my question to you, and maybe you've already done that, you have the petitions where we signed and it went to certain individuals. Blue Ribbon had the disability petition also. Is there any way that we can come formulate one that has individual members of Congress, state, local representatives that people can continuously bombard their local politicians and really have a voice? And then as far as, excuse me, as far as the Friends of Jawbone Facebook, is there any way we can squash or educate people on saying, they got to catch me if they can, and bolt cutters, I can just do whatever I want, and maybe educate people on that that's the wrong energy. And then as far as these groups here, I'm part of a few of these groups as far as members. Has it been thought about maybe making one pool of money where people can donate just to that instead of, you guys do awesome work, but one group might have better connections with lawyers or whatever, and they can pull, from one pot of money. Because I think it's all one, all fight. I live really close to Pismo Beach, and I've seen the dunes just as a kid shrink to nothing. And they need help. Like, they have their thing going on, and I'm sure you guys are involved in a lot of that. I don't go out there, but it's direct contact. And then it sounds like we're getting involved with a lot of the dealerships and the big industry. I haven't really heard anything about it. They have a lot to lose too, because, and just overall, the more.
That's when we get those. If you can help us as members of the community, sometimes when we post back, we're looked at as bootlickers, and it just doesn't come off well sometimes. And if you can help us be part of the peers that are putting the pressure on the kind of things that you're seeing on Facebook with the renegade behavior, we would welcome it very, very much. You don't have to have every fact great. Not everything's going to be, just help us and let them know that there are people out there that care. A quick analogy that I have with respect to the OHV leadership, this is a little silly, but it's how I see it sometimes. A small town sheriff has a very difficult murder it has to solve. The FBI sometimes has to come in and has to do the heavy lifting. And that's what I'm looking at our OHV leadership is doing that. And I'm not going to be able to lead this fight through the levels of Congress and the administration. I would love to. It's not where I am. And I am just blessed, we're blessed to have the OHV leadership willing to take that lead. So, as you said, these are the folks that we need to, I believe Blue Ribbon Coalition, I think you have a part on your website where you can reach out to your legislator and put that pressure on. One of our people sent in and they got beautiful responses back to some very supportive legislators because we went through your website to do that.
We can do it to local officials if we know what we want to ask them. I know that some of the county supervisors here, there's roles they can play. So if people want to have a broader conversation about the next action steps we're going to take, I can stay after and talk to people outside as we're not holding up this meeting. There's a lot we have cooking right now.
Thank you. I have one more speaker and then I'll take another 5. You have the floor if you still like it.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Scott. I came from Tehachapi on the truck that's got 4 inches of snow on it. I'm just an individual and enthusiast of public lands, off-roading. I wanted to ask, I guess, I have, as a person, limited financial I can input and limited physical effort I can input. I'm sorry I'm not going to be cleaning any toilets. But what can I do as an individual? And I want to pose this question to Randy. If you could give me like a 3-step thing as I leave here today. This was a nice educational meeting. And to the first gentleman that talked, Ted, I didn't get your last name. You seem pretty well versed. I wanted to know if you had any suggestions or possible solutions that you were talking about all the lands that might be impacted.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Brent. You answer the first question.
I'm going to chew on that. I think that needs a good thought as a specific help. Just being here with my mind wrapped around what I have, I only see dollar signs, but your first point, we're not rich people here, you know, and you know, our tractors need maintenance, our vehicles are 2006, some of our vehicles. I'm paying $20,000 to $30,000 a month sometimes, or over a 3-month period, just keeping these vehicles running. And remember earlier I said, we have to face a $250,000 a year match every year. How do we come up with that match? It's called vehicle use fees. We own our vehicles and we're allowed to rent ourselves the vehicles through that grant program. But if we don't have vehicles to use, we can't log daily use and we can't make our match. So when our vehicles go down, when we can't replace old vehicles that are just not really worth fixing, it leaves us behind on match. So things like if you have, frankly, if you had a, if you could cut us a great deal on a late model 4x4 that you're willing, that you need to sell, and you're not looking for absolute top dollar, it can have dings in it, it can have paint scratches. Believe me, we're gonna take that thing out and put dings and paint scratches on it the very first week. We don't need a pretty vehicle. If it's got torn upholstery, we can still really use it. Give us a good deal on something. Even something with 100,000, 150,000, especially if it's got a million-mile Ford diesel motor. We can get a lot of life. We've got vehicles with over 300,000 miles on them that are bouncing around that are, and we only get, you know, we only get $125 a day daily use out of these vehicles. We don't get a whole lot. So if we don't have a fleet of vehicles out there doing the work, I can't come up with the match. And if I can't come up with the match, I can't get the grants. We can't do any of this work that we do. So that's a little way that can help is, you know, if you have equipment, if you have two-man augers, that you have a company maybe or something, and it's time to replace a two-man auger, but you've got some life in it, let us know. There are some little things that you can help us with respect to materials and supplies and things from time to time. Again, this is just straight off the top of my head. I really would love to take your ask straight to heart and respond with a brilliant 3-point plan of some way to help. And I'm asking Shelley to note that for me so I don't forget to do that, and I'll do that through Facebook or direct contact. But I appreciate that. You guys being here, I know you want to help. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before I take 5 more speakers, I want to make a quick announcement. Our good friend Letty from the Jawbone store next door, Fun Time ATV Rentals. Letty's opening up the shop today to serve lunch. So please stop over to Jawbone store. This is a day off technically, but she's going to open it up for us. If you're hungry after, I hope you are. Please come on by. So I have number 1, number 2, and 3 in the back. Shelley, number 4 and number 5. I'm sorry. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. The 3 in the back. Yes. Yes. 1 in the white hat and then 2 in the back. Thank you.
So my name is Matt Rogers. I own JTC Off-Road Recovery. I'm a local Cantil resident. I just want to say that these closures are not only going to affect Randsburg and Cal City and our local communities around here, but the amount of businesses that the people like solely rely on the off-roaders. We have a Jawbone Canyon store, we have myself, we have Buggy World here. He's kind of older, but he's still here. And it's rough for a lot of us. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that the BLM is affecting. And I just want to know, is there anybody here from Kern County or San Bernardino County that is here to represent us?
Yes.
Is anybody here to speak for us? Can we hear from you, please?
I'm gonna wait until I'm on the agenda.
Okay,
and I'll
yeah,
cover
it
it.
just means a lot to me. I've been coming out here since I was 4 years old, and all I've seen is closures. And I love Corva and the Cal 4-wheel drive guys, Sand Association, but all we have seen is closure after closure. At what point is our land our land? And who is gonna fight for us? Or do we just show up at Adam Schiff's house with 1,000 buggies and dirt bikes?
I mentioned this is a regular monthly meeting that we do on the third Wednesday of every month. And I point that out to say that Kern County District 2, the supervisor, Chris Parlier, is represented by Karen Sanders every single month. They are here on that third Wednesday. Let me just tell you real quick, I'm sorry, I'm taking up your time on the floor, but a quick story. We did a little tour in October with the supervisor Parlier, Assemblyman Tom Lackey. We took a tour of the Jawbone area. This was after the really bad October storms that closed Jawbone Canyon Road. Kern County Public Works has a regular maintenance schedule. They had to do Red Rock Randsburg Road, all these other roads were all just completely closed. And they were going to get to Jawbone Canyon Road maybe after the new year, which would have been 2026. We had our tour in October. That afternoon, by the end of the day, Supervisor Parlier had a commitment from Kern County Public Works that Jawbone Canyon Road would be open by Thanksgiving, and it was. And so, and by the way, Karen is a former employee of Friends of Jawbone, and Karen also at one time ran the Cal City Off-Highway Vehicle Program. So Supervisor Parlier couldn't have a representative that's more in tune with OHV recreation than Karen. And thank you for bringing that up. It's important for me to recognize our partners who are there for us. But I took somebody's time, Letty. Very quick, please. I want to make sure that we get through. But
hi guys, I'm Letty Koviana from the Jawbone Canyon store. I do have to say true testimony that Chris Parlier came through that weekend of Thanksgiving weekend, giving me at least 6 phone calls throughout the week, reassuring that we're going to have the road open, and he really pulled through. So just having him here, I want to say thank you. And he is the type of politician, person that you want to reach out to that do have their heart into looking out for that community. So I really want to say thank you in regards from our Jawbone Canyon store.
Yeah, let it.
To our community.
I don't think politicians are bad word.
it's not the word.
If you need electrical work at your house, you're gonna hire an electrician. You need plumbing work at your house, you're gonna hire a plumber. You need a political problem, you go to a politician. I'm sorry. Number 2 and 3 in the back. Number 2 and 3 in the back.
So my question is, who do we get to lobby on our side, besides the Blue Ribbon Coalition and stuff like that? I've been out here since 1985 when I was born. I've been riding this desert my whole life. And all you see is, like he said, they keep taking from us. Why don't we have more voices giving to us instead of taking? As a group, we all kind of butt heads, rock crawlers don't like UTVs don't like dirt bikes, etc. So, where's our one place, like the gentleman said over in the corner, our one spot to go to? I've signed the Blue Ribbon Coalition thing, I've sent it to all my friends, I've done as much as I could do. But my question is, where's the one place, the one-stop shop? That's what I'm asking.
Remember let me just recount briefly where we are. We're at a point where an agency was sued and has received a court order, and they've got to redo the route network. That route network redo is where we need you. It's not tomorrow. It's not next month. But they are going to redo the route designation process. There will be a notice that the project starts. There will be a notice that there is a scoping meeting where the public attends and does formal on-the-record comments to the BLM. Then there'll be public meetings before the draft document. There'll be public comment after the draft. Hang with us. That is a place where everyone needs to come out when that time comes. There is not going to be a public meeting about, well, let me back up. I know not of a public meeting And I do not know that there is a requirement, I do not believe there is a requirement that BLM hold a meeting to implement the judge's order. The judge has ordered them to do something. It's a judge's order. It's the end of that chapter. The last chapter in that book. A new book is being written. It's called WEMO 3.0. And they will redesignate this, and they will go back to the drawing board to redesignate the routes, and that's the huge process. These guys who are working at the OHV leadership level are the ones who know about the specific regulations that are behind some of these lawsuits. I try not to throw around a lot of terms that I myself don't totally understand. But at the heart, I'm just going to give an example, one example. At the heart of this court decision, at the heart of it, is a thing called minimization criteria. And it's a list of things that define the agency's responsibility in showing that the impacts of OHV has been minimized on sensitive species. It's the best I can say about it. And it's a series of regulations. You change those, you get those regulations changed, and now it's a completely different set of rules on the box top of this game. That's the kind of stuff that the OHV leadership works on, is regulatory change in Washington. Going straight to these agencies and saying, here's an opportunity to do something really big for the people here on the ground. You change these regulations, you make this minimization criteria achievable and doable, and then we can have a route network that's designated that goes to the places that we want to go to and goes on the trails that we want to ride. So, we have to tread water for a little while. We have to tread water for a bit till this process starts up again. And that's where we've got to mobilize our army and we've got to mobilize our speaking. Now there's other things that these guys work on. Legislation. They just talk to you about a piece of legislation with respect to disabled access. That's the thing where you've got to talk to a congressman. We're in a weird place here in the desert in California when it comes to some of the politics. Many of our local leaders support us very, very much, but in Sacramento they are in the minority. And then there are other legislators who are in very high places. You mentioned a senator who is likely not going to give us the time of day. We're a weird place. This is a weird, frustrating state sometimes. We love it. We live here because we love it. But my God, it can be so frustrating sometimes living in the desert communities and the politics that surrounds them. And I'm so sorry. Wish I had better news on that. But the work to be done that's going to really do change is going to have to be done in Washington, D.C. That's where the real work, the change is going to be done. It can't be done without us, though. And so, again, be with these organizations. Their membership dues, they're not a lot of money. It's not expensive. And then you're on the list, you get the alerts, you get the invitations to meetings, and you'll know, you see, I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on. I'm going to just say one more thing. The weird thing about public processes like this is these public processes have times when the window is open and the window is closed. And sometimes it frustrates me when I have to say, that's a great idea, write it down, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to 2019 when we were going to public meetings over this. Because that was when that window was open. So it's important to be a part of these organizations and processes because they're the ones who are gonna let you know, the window is open and this window is open for 45 days. And then the next window is open for 60 days. They will let you know when those windows are open, and that's when we have to do it. That's when we have to do it. And if there's one thing I'll never forget, Ed Waldheim had a phrase. He said, we're off-roaders. We go to meetings. That's what we do.
Profound.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Again, crappy answer. Crappy answer, but it's a chance for me to paint some of the numbers that are on the outside of your question. Speaker number 4, was it, or number 3? Number 3.
ALAA,
I'm sorry, one more time?
with the ALAA, which is the Rock Island Access Organization, and
Gregor!
yes.
Jeez! Love you! Air hug. Worked with Gregor for years. I just don't recognize him with all of the fur. Go ahead.
I'm saying that our people in our organizations fought during the whole 13 years of WEMO, and we organized nationally to sort of participate in the management plan for Mohawk Trails National Monument. And we're going to keep working inside of this, and it's great to see Dave get all those guys together. There is something that we could start thinking about. People are asking about what we can do, and there is something we probably need to start thinking about. If this thing goes into travel management, let's say they follow the NEPA, and that gives us a chance for public participation, the 45-day windows he's talking about is a chance for us to comment on real specific things, because every single road is going to have to meet new criteria. And they're going to probably, if it follows this path, they're going to deal with every single road individually. We're probably not going to get them all back, so you're going to need to sort of prioritize the ones you're interested in and learn about them. And you're going to need to know where your comments, why the road is there, where it goes, any information you can about these things. So it's something to start thinking about so you can be prepared if this does happen, even though it's a long ways down the road.
A little example, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a second to pat myself and some of my teammates on the back. Long time ago, back around 2004 or 5, the NEMO plan, that's the northern plan north of this WEMO, was undergoing route designation. And we took it upon ourselves with a couple of off-road clubs to go out and GPS routes in the Panamint Valleys and the Santa Rosa Hills and up into around Cerro Gordo. And we put routes on the map that weren't previously on the map, but they were routes that were absolutely in existence and well used and well needed by the people. And we all worked together and we identified some of these routes, and better, some people didn't have time to go out and do the work, but they did have time to take our letter, copy it, put it into their letter, and send that letter in as well. And so we have all kinds of people writing these letters saying, here are additional roads and trails that we had. It doesn't sound like a lot initially. No, this doesn't sound a lot, but we had over 90 miles of additional roads and trails in the Argus and the Panamint Mountains that were added as a result of that. 90 miles doesn't sound like a lot, but in the Panamint Mountains and the Argus Mountains, 90 miles is a lot, because it can take you all day sometimes just to go 5 or 6 miles on some of these trails. I'm just saying this because it can be done. You get in on the windows at the right time and you make these suggestions. If they can clear the process, the agency will designate them. I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of roads closed too, to the point that was brought up earlier. I've seen a lot of roads closed, okay? That's what got me into this, was after the 1994 Desert Protection Act. That's when I first started off-roading. And I came up here one weekend, and I went over by the Red Rock Canyon area, and I was riding, and I saw these fabulous trails and roads. It was like 96, 97. I'm going, oh my God, what have I been missing? I want to do this the rest of my life. But I gotta go home right now, and I'll be back next weekend. The next weekend I went back, and there were all these Red's Closed signs up. What the heck happened? What the heck happened? I went back home, I read in the Antelope Valley Press that there was this fly-by-night group called the Desert Advisory Council. Of course, I'm making fun of that. It's a group I had the pleasure to serve on for many years. This thing called the Desert Advisory Council was having a meeting up in Ridgecrest, and I showed up, and I learned that there was this Desert Protection Act thingamabob that put up all these red signs. And that's what first got my eyes open, and from there I've been literally addicted to the process. And my sole fight here is to keep roads open. That's really that's my number one mantra. Now to do that, we have to pick up trash. To do that, we have to clean restrooms. To do that, we have to put up signs. To do that, we have to make maps. All this other stuff that I have to do, when really all I want to do is just keep the roads open, but that's how you keep the roads open. And so be there with us during that next window of opportunity in WeMo 3. And work with the national organizations to get the regulations, the rules changed. The rules on the box stop, change those rules. Maybe even get a piece of legislation in. I know a crazy guy online right now that's working on a piece of legislation to designate the desert. All the roads in the desert. Can it be done? Why not? Why can't anything else? A lot of things can be done. So let's work at that level. That's where it's got to be fixed. Sorry about that. I had speaker number 4 and number 5. 4 and 5.
So I have a couple of things. The sign-in sheets. I had some of you take a seat, but there is some sign-in sheets. If everybody could sign it, get your email on it. We want to get an email database so that you can be the first to know. I run the social media. You can create and talk about pack in, pack out, letting knows. I don't know how effective it is, but what I do know is effective is when you're out riding and you're out camping, teach the people next to you. Make friends. It's a small community. Everybody knows everybody eventually. Talk to the neighbors you're camping with. Tell them why we pick up the trash. I think it's great that people bag trash for us, but if they don't take it home, the ravens get into it, the ravens go after the tortoise. It's a whole thing that can start with all of us. When you're out, talk to the people about why we collect trash. The notes on the comments that I see on social media, I try to hide the ones with swear words, but I find it more effective to leave the I'm gonna ride wherever I wanna ride, because you all jump on it. You all teach them in those comments why they should do. So some of the vulgar ones I do remove, but I do like it when they get taught by their friends. So I do try to stay out. Some of these are very overrun comment sections, and I do appreciate the help that people give teaching them about what not to do. But it is part of the reason that riding off trail is part of why we're here. You know, we have our crew that has to put up fences because people won't stay out of where they're not supposed to go, and you could damage a tortoise world. And they see these off-route trails, and I get comments that are like, there's more signs and more fences. Well, if people stayed where we need them to go, these guys wouldn't have a job, right? But they love what they do. They love this desert, and keeping people safe and on the trail is the most important thing we have to do. Did you have?
No, before I go to speaker.
You mentioned the signage and everything out there, you know, and people don't know what it means. I mean, the general public, especially the new people that come, we were going to get with the BLM because they need to update, they need to have boards that explain to people where they're going, because there's no information. I'm telling you, people don't know what those little tiny little things mean. And so they're out here to four-wheel drive, they come from LA or something. It really needs to be updated. Otherwise, they're going to do exactly what you said. They're going to go where they're not supposed to go, even though it says don't go here. They don't know that that's what that says. You know?
Key, a map key.
We don't disagree.
And at the entrance of every entrance to a trail, there's supposed to be a board with information explaining where these people are going. They haven't done that.
You know, so before we get to speaker number 5, somebody asked about to make friends, take maps. On the way out the door, all our maps today are free. Any map you want is everything. It should be free. It's got to take all you want. Take some extra Jawbone maps and keep them in your vehicles for when you pull up next to somebody you want to make friends, because maps make friends. They really do. So please, take as many maps as you want. They're all free today. Did you hear that, Sherry? Maps. Oh, she's walking away right now. She's going, oh no, I'm going to go get another box of maps. Maps are free today. Speaker applicant number 5, please, you have the floor.
John Conway, I was born in Ridgecrest and riding out here for 51 years. It's who I am. I live this, I love it out here. We do need to do it. We need to work together to save our desert. You know, it just keeps shrinking and shrinking. And most of what I wanted to say has already been asked, so I'm going to keep it short. I want to thank you for bringing us together, giving us this meeting. And I've never seen you guys all standing next to each other before, and that was a great thing to see. And that's what we need to do. We need to work together and use them to find out what's going on and react, do the right things at the right time so we can be effective in our actions. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Before I take more hands, we're getting on to the last 15 minutes or so. I want to make sure that our agency friends, Karen, do you want to go first, and then I'll turn it over to BLM. We may adjourn the meeting, but I'm not leaving, sticking around. All of you are welcome to stick around, and you're welcome to give Letty a few minutes to go and heat up the burners and get lunch going. So, Karen, from Kern County Supervisor Chris Parlier's office. Thank you, Karen.
Again, my name is Karen Sanders. I'm the East Kern representative for Kern County District Board of Supervisors, District 2 Supervisor Chris Parlier. I have to say all that just to make sure that you know that I am not the elected official. I am his representative. I get dinged with stuff all the time. It's like, I didn't vote for that. That's not my thing. Hi, Jerry. How are you? I did work for Jawbone in 2010, 2011 when Ed Waldheim was still here, and he was a tough cookie to work for. I went on to California City and managed their OHV recreation program for 7 years until I left, and then I came back to Jawbone for a couple of years working in the field, supervising restoration crews. I also worked for BLM for a year. I've kind of been all over the place. So I've been on both sides of the coin. I gotta say a couple of things. I'm not gonna do the usual county report because I don't think it's gonna be beneficial to what's happening here today. But engage, engage, engage. You've got to show up. If I didn't learn one thing from Ed Waldheim, it is show up. Say what you gotta say it politely, which sometimes he didn't, but show up. If you don't engage with your elected officials from the municipal level to the county level to the state level to the federal level, they're not going to hear what you need, hear what you want. It's just, you've got to do it. You've got to take the time out of your busy life to send emails, send letters, read the news, know what's going on, and engage with your elected officials. Vote, okay? Some of the things that Supervisor Parlier is doing to help with all of this, he's put forth a proposal to the Board of Supervisors to designate Jawbone Canyon Road as a dual-use road. Come to find out, it takes state legislation to do that. So that's on the table, and that's something that the supervisor's working on. He did send me a message this morning, and I want to read it to you regarding this meeting this morning. He says, I've asked county counsel, the county attorney, to monitor the situation, and if there's an appeal, maybe we can adjoin with possible standing. It makes it tough as a federal decision. Please keep this in mind. This is not the Bureau of Land Management's fault. It is not their fault. They're not the ones who are purposefully closing trails. They're not the ones who are fencing off areas. If you get a map, I strongly advocate for getting a map and reading it and learning what all the symbols mean. You will see that this entire area is a checkerboard of public land, private land, public land, private land. A lot of those private landowners, rightfully so because it's their property, sell their land to land trusts for mitigation. And that's why many of the trails are cut off and fenced off. It doesn't have anything to do with the Bureau of Land Management. So please don't harp on them, it's not their fault. Regarding the trash, when I was with the Public Lands Roundtable many years ago, before I worked for BLM and was told you can't do that anymore, there's a yellow bag trash program that Kern County instigated. They brought this forward so that as a non-resident of Kern County, you can take a yellow trash bag. Sherry has some here at the store. I will get her more because they just made more of those yellow bags. There's more yellow bags coming. You can take that yellow bag to a Kern County landfill site and they'll take it without you having to pay or say who you are or anything. It's part of the Kern County Waste Management Program. So get a yellow bag, get a couple of yellow bags, give them to your neighbor when you give them a map. Okay? I just want to advocate for Jawbone, Friends of Jawbone. You were all here today, and it is so appreciated, and it warms my heart to see so many people in this room. Normally, we don't see this many people in this room unless it's Moose Anderson Day, which that's something else that you need to do. You need to come to Moose Anderson Day. You do. We meet once a month, the third Wednesday of the month at 9 o'clock in the morning here. There is a Zoom option, but if you can take the time, come to the meeting, because it's not just the closure that's happening, the threat of a closure that's happening. It's all kinds of OHV and other related desert recreation matters that you need to be advocating for. And showing up and being here is going to be so helpful for the whole community, for the whole OHV community. It's all important. Everything. Rock counting, astronomy, photography, hunting. I can't think of all of the different things that you can do in the desert, but you know there's a million things you can do in the desert. And showing up here and supporting Friends of Jawbone is highly important. There was a question on Zoom about how people on Zoom can sign up to get the emails. How can they sign up to get the emails?
We're sending them to webmaster at Jawbone or Jawbone at jawbone.org.
So jawbone@jawbone.org to sign up to get the emails. I just didn't know if you saw it or not. You didn't know?
Oh, he saw it.
All right. I forget about it.
Moose Anderson's April 25th.
Moose Anderson Day, April 25th. Show up. It's worth it. It's a fun time. You can go out and take pictures of flowers or pick up trash. Whichever you I've done both. Anyway. That's all I gotta say. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes?
Are you in communication with Don Rowe, San Bernardino County Supervisor, or a whole other half?
I'm not personally in communication, and I don't know what the relationship is between my district supervisor and other supervisors, but if that's something that needs to happen, I can give you my card, and I have cards if anybody wants a card, so that you can be in contact with the District 2 office, but we can chat afterwards.
Thank you, Karen.
Well,
Before I turn the floor over to representatives from the BLM, to Dana and Katie, I want to recognize the Vice President of Friends of Jawbone, Doug Varner. He is another one of my teachers I've learned much from, and you know that he is the teacher because he's the one with the gray hair. I'm going to turn the floor over to Dana and Katie, Dana Stevenson, Katie Meyer, and we meet with them regularly. Thanks for coming. They're the local field office, the local BLM field office. They're the on-the-ground people.
Yeah, good morning everyone. Dana Stevenson. I'm the Assistant Field Manager over at the Ridgecrest Field Office. Been there for 23 years. So I was there for the original WEMO, worked with Craig Beck on that. He's laughing at me right now. Rest his soul. But I can't really answer any more than what Randy has already said. We're in the quarter, right? We're here in the 60 days. State office is working, headquarters is working. They're all brainstorming it, trying to keep it close to their chest, and then we're gonna let us know what we're gonna do next. So we're in the same scrambles as all of you guys, figuring out what our next steps are with limited staff, limited funding, trying to figure out what we're doing next. So I have the same due dates that Randy has, but like Randy said, seeing all these faces out here is tremendous. I'm born and raised in Ridgecrest. My family is from Ranford and everywhere else. So this is our backyard, and seeing all your guys' faces, this is the first time, honestly. So I've been through all these WEMO processing, the public meetings, and there's more here today than I've ever seen. So kudos to all you guys for being together. Like Randy said, the big thing is going to be showing up to those public meetings when we bring them to the forefront, and making your comments, gathering all your information now on the routes you guys want to see open, because we're going to go back out and do it. So we need your guys' voices. You guys are on the ground more than us, so yeah, it's true. So, but make your guys' presence known there and show up to the public meetings. We're going to be putting it all out. How we communicate it will be through Friends of Jawbone, our websites. We'll try to get it through our state office websites, our news bites, everything like that. So hopefully it's not going to be a surprise. We'll start putting those informations out. I can't tell you the when, I can't tell you the where, I can't tell you how many. I don't know any of that. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Katie as our ORP. She shows up to these way more than I do, wearing 5 hats. So I appreciate her. I appreciate Friends of Jawbone and all the partnerships. And Phil, Phil DeSense, who's our field manager, is not here today. My apologies. He's wearing double hats. He's down in Palm Springs with meetings, and I'm sure talking about the same stuff we're talking about with Barstow. So we're trying to work together with Barstow to get the same information out, so you guys don't have to go searching.
Hi, I'm Katie Meyer. I'm an outdoor recreation planner, one of 2 at the field office. So if you're one of our many dirt bike groups who regularly work with Allie Reardon, she is our SRP ORP. So some of you might also know her. But my main duties are the off-highway vehicle grants, travel and transportation management, restoration in the desert. I do come to these meetings every month. So if you ever want to chat with me personally and face-to-face, I'm here every month. Otherwise, you can always call our offices. I know we've been fielding a lot of phone calls from residents, recreationists. You're welcome to keep calling us. We'll give you kind of the same information we just got here until we know more. But yeah, I'm out in the field regularly, but what you might see is my American Conservation Experience restoration crews. They've been out here for 20 years, 30 years. So you'll still see them. They're still out there working, doing restoration. And yeah, they're still out there. We'll continue to be, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? So we're still kind of enacting some of our old OHV grants. We're still trying to protect the desert as much as we can for the multi-use, which includes our creation. So yeah, just wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you. Thank you very much for I very much appreciate it. The agency is here. Let me simply I'd like to let Dave Kuski and the OHV leadership close the meeting today. I'm sorry we couldn't get more comments in. Thank you for coming. And I'm with you. We're with you. My heart goes out in so much thanks. Dave, you're welcome to close the meeting. Thank you.
Multiple questions came out there of who's the one voice to reach out to. We have created a new day with OHV advocacy. So all of us are working together. I'll give you a perfect example. Prairie City, Hangtown, Solar Fields going around that. We're all banding together and all working together. Cal 4 Wheel, ASA, Blue Ribbon, Cordoba, AMA, MIC. A lot of us are all working together on multiple things. I've got 2 solar projects down at the Imperial Sand Dunes that we're all banding together working on. What I say all the time is wherever you ride, find that advocacy group that is fighting for your right to ride. Spend the time, support them. All of us can use help, whether it's just licking stamps, putting them on an envelope, coming out and supporting and helping, or funds. We all need funds. So we're starting to look at it these days of, there's an umbrella, and we got a couple of the top groups at the top. Thank you, Ben, for coming down. BRC is a huge part. We've got SEMA that's on the call today that's a big partner of ours. The OEMs are involved. Those are people that support us, send us funds for us to fight. All of us groups are those points like on the umbrella down at the bottom that were the ones on the grounds working with the different groups and agencies. Like Randy does here with Friends of Jawbone across the valley here. There's all of us that have our specialty areas. So It's not one group. Pay attention, Randy, what they're gonna put out, or all of us are gonna put out. We will be sharing together on where our fight is. Jerry's here with the group Ecologic, which is one of our groups that we fund. It's our law group that we fund to, that fought for us to keep Glamis open, and other areas, along with Oceano and other areas that we fought for. So we will get the message out there. There is a lot of working parts to this. We have no idea which direction it's going, but trust me, we're reaching out all the way to the top. We, the DOJ, Department of Interior, and everyone we can get to take our phone calls and hear what we're saying. So we are here to fight for you guys.
With that, Melissa, BLM Ranger, Melissa.
I'm Melissa Brown, I'm one of the law enforcement rangers. You asked a lot about what you guys can do on the ground. We only sign our designated trails. They're signed with these brown markers with route numbers. If it doesn't have a brown sign, it's not part of the trail system. That is one of the biggest things you can do to keep your trails open. All right? And the maps. Maps are awesome.
Meeting adjourned.
personal recording device for the entire meeting.
Is that going to be available?
I am going to post the entire meeting onto the YouTube. If you'd like, you're welcome to give me your email address and I can send you the link to the YouTube for the entire meeting. It was recording from 8:30 up until it's currently recording now, but there was a 30-second interlude when the guy was talking. My battery data had to change it. Outside of that, it should have the entirety of the meeting. Let me get my notepad. Oh, yeah, just write down your email here and I can send it to you. Check us out. You can give us a call if you need to. This is my company here.
Where are you located?
We're out of Bakersfield. We're an adventure vehicle rental company that brings adventure vehicles over here if they're available for rent. We rent Polaris, Razor, Pro R, Ultimate Editions, adventure motorcycles, and ATVs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Bakersfield.
Oh, okay.
North of Bakersfield.
Well, we're located northwest Bakersfield. Yeah, I'll probably have that uploaded onto YouTube. Probably not today, but maybe by this weekend when I get a chance. But I'll send you, email you the link.
That'd be fine. I'm with the local prospectors group.
Okay.
Out of Bakersfield.